Welcome to this Optimity update for benefits advisors. Although this session is tailored to the advisor community, anyone involved with workplace health will find today's conversation highly relevant. My name is Jennifer Aaliyah. I'm a workplace health expert and your moderator today. Joining me to discuss how advisors can level up wellness with technology are Optimity founders Jane Wang, CEO, and Nick Raditsis, SVP Growth. Jane is a visionary and master problem solver using technology to relentlessly improve health, wealth, and longevity for more than 1 billion people. Nick's expertise is optimizing health with data and technology to help people to live longer. Welcome, Nick. Welcome, Jane.
Everyone.
Jen.
Hello,
Good afternoon.
Hey, Jen.
Great to see you both. Now tell me, where are you both joining from today? And I'd actually love to hear what you have going on after the session.
Yeah, I'm actually, it's funny, I'm calling in from Chicago this week at a conference, an InsurTech conference, talking about member engagement and member growth utilizing technology. And then an added bonus, I get to spend a bit of time with a client out here who's also using our technology.
That's always a bonus when it comes to combining conference work and a client conversation. Very cool. Enjoy the Windy City, Nick. And Jane, how about you? Where are you calling in from?
Yeah, I am in my home office, working from Toronto, north of the city today. And yeah, I get the good part of spending some time with some of the people that are putting in this as platforms and some amazing partners of ours after this conversation today.
Nice, nice. I love that. And I know you have a lot on the go, and both of you juggling lots of family commitments, both in Chicago and Toronto this week. So very, very good. Now, a few housekeeping notes before we get started. We will, of course, have guest lines muted, and we invite you to engage with us, with Jane and with Nick in particular. If you have questions, please type them into the Q&A icon found at the bottom of your screen. And know that we will send you the slides and the recording following today's session so that you can share those with your teams. Before we get rolling, I'd like to say a quick word about Optimity and with gratitude for hosting this session today. Optimity tackles workplace health and engagement issues by focusing on 5 dimensions of health. So physical, mental, nutrition, social, and financial. And it's done in a way that's engaging and joyful through advanced behavior science and technology. Think of it as micro-learning, integrated platforms and programs, and gamification, all of that rolled up to engage employees and to build connected communities. Optimity's been around for 10 years, since 2014, and has an office presence in both Canada and in the US. And you can see here a number of the organizations that Optimity works with, from the consumer side of things, so direct to users, as well as the insurance side, as well as with employees and employers. Today, we're going to cover why wellness programs are shifting, how technology is your solution partner currently and for the future as well, and what this means for benefits advisors. And as we begin, I really would love for you to think about wellness as a means of future-proofing your business. We think about wellness technology as a solution partner because it can actually help you to grow your client base and make passive income, all while providing additional value to your current clients. And yet, I can imagine that many of us are on the same page that traditional wellness programs just aren't cutting it in today's environment. We need to go beyond HRAs and health challenges to meet employers' needs today and for the future. The good news, and this is where I get excited, is that there's a really clear path to wellness as a strategic driver. We just have to make sure that it's data-driven, that it is personalized for the users, and that it's engaging. Participation isn't always enough. We have to make sure that we have a level of behavioral change that is being supported through engagement, so regular use of the app and the different solutions, and that the technology itself is driving insights that can help us working in this field to modernize wellness as a core element of workplace culture and high performance. So let's go to a poll next. And if we can agree that workplace wellness is ultimately about engagement, I'd really love to hear from you. How important is employee engagement to your clients? If we think about engagement, we're thinking about from an HR perspective, are people really showing up for their jobs and engaging with their teams? Do they know what programs and resources are available to them? And are they using those programs? So I can see some answers coming in. And unanimously, we agree that it's very important. So with that in mind, if we know engagement is really critical for workplace culture and overall business performance, my next question is around, do your clients have a formal plan to increase benefits and wellness engagement? Option A, yes, it's a top priority for your clients. You're hearing about it regularly. B, yes, it's more of a medium priority among other things. And C, there is no formal plan. And you can see here we have mixed results. So interesting that we all are hearing that engagement among employees is super important, top priority, and yet there isn't always a plan around that. So I think for today's session, you're going to find some inspiring ways to think about how we might solve for this. Now let's take a look at a couple of proof points. If we look at wellness as a growth market and a business priority, we can see and acknowledge that in the benefit space, we've known this for some time and have been making efforts to integrate wellness with benefits, probably been doing that for more than 10 years. This study shows that wellness is top of mind for many, if not most, with a particular interest in financial and physical initiatives. McKinsey is saying that 82% of US consumers consider wellness a top priority, and this is mirrored around the world. It's actually a $480 billion market, and this is growing. Now, at this point, it's my pleasure to loop Jane in and get her take on some of these market trends. Now, Jane, I'd love to hear from you. You're hearing from advisors regularly. What are some of the trends and opportunities and requests that are bubbling up in those conversations?
Yeah, we've been really getting a lot of inbound interest in partnership requests from advisors. And we've been working with the employers also actively trying to, they're trying to solve the problem and challenge and really finding the right program for their people. The advisors, they really want to serve both the most innovative clients, but also clients that it's hard for them to find an easy solution. So looking for the easy solutions that are also cost effective. So about 6 years ago, we got a call from an innovative broker. They're called Ingar. They operate out of the US, and we met them at an insurance conference like the one that Nick is at right now. And they already work with different employers. So they have like teachers, they have different types of, I would say, employee populations from like classic kind of white collar, but also people that are in I would say off season, on season type of work environments. And these companies that they work with, they had originally bought Fitbits for everybody, but they were looking for a program that's really kind of BYOD, like bring your own device. They're looking for something that's more sustainable and engaging year over year. They were also trying to make money off of it. So like for them, this is an important innovation to make additional revenue. So they worked with us to really put something together for them to innovate. We put together, some programs for them. There's some press releases out as well, but it's really about being successful in achieving active engagement. So we were able to achieve like 25% monthly active engagement for now over 3 years in a row with them. So that really began our work to collaborate and partner. And in the most recent years, we just last year we had benefits brokers that were reaching out for introductory programs from other like fast growing. They have clients that are fast growing tech companies. They're looking to really engage like a hybrid and growing team. So we've seen brokers and advisors in US and also Canada put on specific like wellness events to educate their clients and attract more clients using their own health and product knowledge to serve as a differentiator. So all of that I see as signals for Optimity. It's caused us to take a deeper look at how best to partner with the benefits community and creating programs that help them differentiate and make more passive income and really adding great value to the sponsors and the employees.
Jane, just hearing you talk that through, I mean, I think what has been really compelling for me learning about Optimity and your approach is that you do see it as a collaborative partnership. And whether you're working with a benefits advisor or working with an insurance company or working directly with employers, it's ultimately about banding together and harnessing that strength of shared purpose to get people tapping into the supports available as they embark on really a lifetime health journey. So it's really clear that this role of wellness when it comes to work is shifting, right? And the first piece here that I want to talk about as we follow up on those compelling examples you just shared is it fair to say that there are these two halves, right? There's the employee value proposition, looking at employee goals at the individual level, as well as organizational goals tied to health. And then second, there's this opportunity for benefits advisors to create value by getting their clients access to better programs, better pricing, the best possible outcomes, and exemplary service. So let's actually land on that for a moment. If we look at this first shift, Jane, around the employee value proposition, can you go a bit deeper to help the benefits community to understand the approach you recommend to fully embrace wellness as part of that overall employee value proposition, or EVP?
Right. I think in order for something to be highly adaptable and used for a really long time, it really needs to be for the ultimate users, right? The EVP, the employees, that their value proposition. And it's really about meeting them where they are. And I mean, it's kind of not too different from us on the call here, working from the home office, traveling, dealing with families, both like maybe being caregivers and maybe being parents, maybe overall just trying to do the best that we can do for our workplace, but also find that sense of belonging. So balancing all these different things, how do we create this holistic approach? How do we be useful in their daily part, not overwhelming but joyful? So I think that's really the part about work-life integration and creating this technology supported experience that makes it seamless, that people can tap in whenever they have time. They have things at their fingertips. They can bring whatever device that they have. It just makes it so easy to connect a population across time zones, across geographies, across contexts, across, different types of both needs, but also personal preferences. So that's where we started. And it's been 10 years of works of building this type of experience. It's almost like the Netflix experience, right? Like you go on to it, we all see different types of content depending on what we prefer, what we like, but we can access it 24/7, right? It comes at our device and it just works. So that's what Optimity has been about in terms of creating that employee value. And we'll continue to invest in that because people expect consumer grade experiences. So that's
It's
something.
really, it's for me, it's so interesting because you've been building, and I think collectively we've been building solutions in the workplace health space for a long time beyond core benefits, and recognizing that health is a continuum. We need to be strong on the prevention side, move people along on a positive journey, and ultimately help them to live a fulfilling, healthy life, but also keep costs contained. And this concept of future of work was there just sort of below the surface pre-pandemic, and then boom, 2020 hits and there's this big focus on the future of work. So I think it's a beautiful thing that the technology evolution is happening, had been happening in a way that now has prepared us collectively to respond with solutions that are tested and that can actually help to optimize the employee value proposition and the overall experience. So it's just, it's really interesting to see all that coming together. Future of work is not a new thing that just sort of popped up because of the pandemic. It was something that had been thought of before, but then became such a priority. So I think all of that, it makes sense. And collectively, we're trying to solve this engagement issue, get people engaged in very different work models than ever before, more diverse work settings and global teams more so than ever before. I'd love to hear you, Jane, summarize the shift that you're seeing and now taking it from an innovation lens. If you look at the old routine and now modern wellness.
Yeah, I think people are expecting a modern approach, right, to meet them where they are. So, like, gone are the old days of sitting in a one office, everyone like one size fit all programs, reactive type of programs, and people are suffering from like point solution exhaustion, right? So from that, moving into this expectation that it needs to be mobile first, it's human centric design, and it's in a way that's run centrally, cost effectively, and that kind of goes into the strategy from what we're hearing from the benefits advisory and also from the HR leaders perspective. And they're managing this like really hybrid type of workforce. And I mean, we have clients that are cheese factories and that are that are like out there on the shop floor, hard hat wearing people. So like it really is not just when we first talked about wellness, it seems to be such a white collar, like privileged type of benefit. But now the expectation is really like any human should participate in that, and it is part of the future of work, is part of the community experience.
And beyond all of that, I think what's cool is that the outcomes are there. We're not building technology or investing in these solutions just because it's the right thing to do, although that's certainly part of it. There are actually tangible business outcomes that are emerging. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. So over the last decade or so, we worked directly with employers, over 100 organizations, and it really started from reducing benefits and claims cost. It was, we had a public sector early client that really had like doubling of their insurance costs, and they couldn't support that. So like that was kind of the pain that started this whole thing. Um, and then as we were running better programs or thinking about how do we run more initiatives faster, as we kind of had the early successes, people think about how do we save time? How do we run it with more efficiency to drive the same health outcomes, but also kind of cost savings from the human hours perspective, or having all these different types of point solutions? Can we kind of connect it all, this integrated? And then I think the future, that's where it's even more exciting with all the data and the insights, can we empower and work with this community of advisors and benefits advisors to create this more strategic approach? I mean, more what's happening right now in the conversation is taking these kind of building blocks and putting them into a way of executing further programs, but also programs that have this integrated benefits and wellness perspective uh, that it makes both human sense, but also like hard dollar business sense too.
It's interesting hearing you because it really begs the question. If the outcomes are there, the purpose is clear, and it's aligned with the needs for the future of work, why aren't more employers tapping into wellness as a technology solution? So I'm going to put that question over to our audience today. Let's hear from you. What are clients saying about what's in the way of implementing wellness, and particularly an engagement platform? Is it that the value is not understood clearly? Maybe it's that it's one more thing and there's not an appreciation for how to leverage technology to integrate across all the different benefits and wellness programs. Could be that leaders don't buy in, and that there's competing priorities, and it may just boil down to cost. So I think as we look at some of the responses come in, these barriers are tangible and felt, and lack of integration, that's interesting. It's kind of showing up in the leading position as a barrier. And I think then what that points to, whether for Optimity or other providers in the health tech space, how are you making sure that integration is a top design principle? Because certainly I think that's the pain point. We talked about pitfalls of traditional wellness a few minutes ago. It's when programs are seen as fragmented, it really dilutes that opportunity to prompt the types of changes that that we're hoping to make. Thanks everyone for participating in that. I'm going to shift gears now for a moment and talk about technology as a solution partner. So we said earlier that there's this fresh opportunity for advisors to think of tech as more than just an enabler, but a partner. And I'd like to actually turn it over to you, Nick.
Yeah.
And what I'd love to hear from Nick is what excites you the most in this space? And when you think about advancements in technology and the opportunities for advisors to meet client needs, share with us. Where's your mind go?
Yeah, there's three things actually off the top of my head. The first thing, and what really excites me the most actually, is that now in 2024, right, we can provide that consumer grade experience to employers, to brokers, and actually achieve real engagement with employees and members. So the same thing Jane was talking about, delivering that consumer grade experience, having that in this context now, and actually having, making it possible to have a sticky solution where employees will come back and they'll use it on a regular basis. The second is, I would say, with the prevalence of wearable technology, connected devices, it's now possible to get a 360-degree view of a person, a user. And employers and brokers can leverage that to service their members better, get to know them better, understand more facets of their life and how they can service them. And then I think the third one links back to, you were talking about this in the survey, in the poll, around integration is part of it, but really this is about how the infrastructure is set up to be optimized by technology. So on the app side, of course, right, it learns as users use it, it makes recommendations to users to use it. But then on the admin side of things, what's amazing is that the program becomes automated, right? You can automate how you can run programs, how you can set things up, how you can schedule things, and how you can get data and report it. Oh, Jen, we can't hear you.
That is actually so interesting to me. And just to think again that we're at this moment in time where the technology is more than ready for us to tap into to support strategic priorities and create that integration. Can you go a little bit deeper with us now, Nick? When an employee is using a technology that is of the caliber that it needs to be to really address some of these problems for HR and by extension benefits advisors, what do the employees actually experience when it comes to engaging with the platform?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, first things first, like where they're actually getting it, it's important to start in that user experience, starting with something mobile first. And this has kind of become table stakes as we're engaging people, right? The modern consumer, this is what they're expecting. But I think what's interesting, and Jane touched on this in terms of value add, which is in order to really capture a user's attention, you got to compete against everything else that they're also using. So like first and foremost, the experience has to be slick. It has to be something that they love, and they got to get value from it, right? And we know that there's ways to design it that leads to this positive adoption and leads to sustained engagement. We know this because we've been consistently hitting #1 in both app stores since 2020. We get user comments around how it helped them hit their health goals or how they're working on these health goals with their family, or just simply they're just getting awesome rewards and things like that. So the experience itself, right, needs to be modern, it needs to be engaging. And this is kind of where we start to pull away from what wellness programs used to be. Like in the past, the approach was, let's take a claims portal or try to, how do we stick engagement into our existing employee intranet? And just those solutions didn't work, right? Nobody's using those things. So where people need to look and where we're going now, or where we're at now, is really tapping into the best in class product methodologies that are proven to work.
Well, congratulations, first of all, on some of those ratings. I did not know that. And it makes me consider, in the sea of apps out there to support health, we know that there are millions of options. And you could probably do a session on another day about how Optimity serves up best in class content that is always changing and evolving. That employers can engage feeling confident that the content is up to the standard that it needs to be and feel confident driving their employees to it. So I'd love to chat a little bit more about the methodology, Nick. You talked a little bit about the experience, but tell us more about how it all comes together and tapping into the science.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for us, taking an employee first approach, that's like the most important thing. Put the user first. But leveraging things like behavioral science, gamification, and tapping into social communities, right? That's where there's a huge difference. That's where we're seeing there's a huge difference between what wellness programs look like now and what they looked like, 10 years ago. The use case for wellness has even expanded, well beyond what your average step competition or something like that. Employers and brokers can start to utilize the insights that we're gathering to drive desired behaviors, but also feed into like what their strategic plans are. So our clients are doing this right now, but this is something I think that everyone should think about, is like how employers can actually utilize platforms like this to support good behaviors beyond health. So things like day-to-day behaviors, really there's no limit to the behaviors that we can incentivize for employees. We're talking to employers right now about incentivizing some of their core operational practices, helping them strengthen overall team performance, things like regular check-ins. They're putting rewards against this as well. Like, of course, we have a rewards platform, things like gift cards and charitable donations, but we're seeing employers start to put in things that matter to them, like to be lunch with their CEO or half a day's vacation, like things that are contextually important to them. And we're now facilitating that through technology.
So really, it's a matter of the secret sauce and the flexibility of technology to help with plans, right? So it all sounds amazing. We do know that the reality for HR professionals is that when it comes to program strategy and implementation, time and resources can be huge barriers. How is the technology helping to solve for this, Nick?
Yeah, this is important because again, without this, without the employer adoption, you don't even get to the user. So this is like, it's important to solve for this. Employers expect it to be super quick and super simple, right? Like you said, time is their biggest constraint in terms of resources. So what's really helpful is starting with a no integration approach, having the ability to configure or brand as needed, right? Just keep it simple, basically. And then again, what excites me is that what used to take a team weeks or months of planning and execution, it's now pushed automatically, and it can be personalized to each user. Then it all gets summarized, right? So we've got an admin dashboard, and this is something where HR or advisors can utilize this data to be strategic about their benefits and wellness programs. So ideally, what it would look like for a client is like you're spending about an hour with your tech partner to set goals, configure the program. You start scheduling campaigns and initiatives that run, like you schedule them ahead of time and they'll be able to run. And I think what's really cool is that these initiatives are not only limited to in-app activities. So for example, we've got clients that use the platform to push out information about in-person and virtual events. And then once these things are all set up and scheduled, all the data gets displayed for them. So it's all automatic in a dashboard, it's real time. So at any given time, our clients have a pulse on what's happening. So I think, in the end, employers, what they love about this is that it can recommend programs. So it allows them to give the right content to the right person at the right time. And I think what brokers should start looking at as well is how to pull in this data in a way that can help them support their benefits plan recommendations.
I'm sure that as people are hearing from you, Nick, it's sparking a lot of new ideas about how wellness truly can be a solution partner, particularly when it's enabled by technology. So I'd love to pause and hear from our audience. What are some of the other ways technology can support your business goals? Love to hear from you. I mean, there are, just to kind of get the wheels turning, is it a competitive factor, a differentiator for you? Is it the data and insights to inform planning and recommendations? Is it product? Is there some tie-in to how your products and solutions are being experienced by ultimately the employees and their families? Is it that integration piece again around benefits and wellness, and specifically how do you want to see that integration happen? So I think with this, we're going to summarize some of these points of feedback, and that's going to inform what we will talk about in future webinars. So as we get to the end, I think ultimately it's about the role that advisors can play to help HR as your client to be more strategic and how they meet their expectations, both in terms of the business strategy as well as employee expectations. We want people really taking away this concept and sitting with it for a bit and considering how technology is key to modernizing an employee experience that absolutely includes well-being. And finally, 3, we're in a position, a moment in time right now where the capabilities available through technology, through behavior science, through analytics is helping us to, better than ever before, integrate programs and drive engagement. So Jane, I understand that Optimity has a new program for advisors. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, we've been working away as we're partnering with people that are in our ecosystem, some of which are in the audience. Thank you. But also we wanted to invite new people into our ecosystem. So new friends, nice to meet you. We want to invite you into this partnership community to create a really amazing inside track program for you. So I'll kind of tease a little bit about what we have upcoming. It's really a subscription-based like member program for advisors that have like financially positive benefits and also some insight perks. So some of the benefits could be that your clients can get access to Optimity at a carrier level pricing, so much better pricing than what they can access themselves. Also, giving you a number of license, like 100 corporate wellness app licenses to grant to your client companies that are co-branded and so on, getting a branded micro page specifically around this partnered corporate wellness offering, uh, having the option to get paid a dividend, a healthy dividend on any revenue that is generated from the clients and the members just purchasing through Optimity's platform. People are buying things for their like meal kits and their wearable devices. They can do that, and we can share in that value in helping really help us access and achieve also our mission overall. And then we have new programs. So I guess the two last ones are, the one is the facilitated workshops and the employee listening programs, really along our 5 pillars of health, focus really on financial wellness, mental health, physical fitness, and so on. And then lastly, access to our monthly drop of insights reports and white papers. We've been kind of publishing them, and these are produced by Optimity, but that will be co-branded with the benefits advisor for you to share with your team for, leveling up on their overall knowledge of solutions and so on, but also for your clients to, right, kind of show off on the insights and to increase the quality of the some of the benefits choices, and right, striving that strategic approach to creating this integrated wellness and benefits future that we're so interested in creating. So I mean, we're open to new ideas, but this is what we're starting to roll out.
Sounds like a win-win, and sounds really, really exciting. So congratulations for, first of all, your success over the last decade, and secondly, for really putting forth your recommendations, your expertise when it comes to wellness technology. I think what strikes me in this whole conversation is your agility, your creativity, and ultimately partnership, right? Like, this is about partnering with all of the folks who are involved with improving the health of workplaces at the organization level, as well as employees at the individual level. So I know I would be remiss if I didn't point out that when you book a discovery call with Optimity, you are connecting directly with Jane, Nick, and the team of experts there. And the way to reach them is through engage@myoptimity.com. So I have the pleasure of teasing a webinar that is next in Optimity's series, and would love for all of you to mark your calendars and watch for that invitation. This one will be very different than today. This one has a broader application for all humans that are interested in mental health awareness, which I hope is pretty much everyone, regardless of your life stage and experiences. The topic will be healthy connections as the antidote to loneliness, and specifically, how can you tap into tech in a way that is for good? So technology for good. And I think it's going to be a really interesting panel conversation that includes Noah Tile, who is a really innovative thinker, a clinician. He's a psychotherapist, and he's also the founder of a company called Resolve. Selena Ng will be joining the panel as well, and she'll bring that HR leadership lens to the conversation. She's the head of people for Canada at Kenvue. And then we will once again be joined by Jane, representing her experiences at Optimity. And now at this point, we'll conclude the formal part of the agenda, and I wish to thank you for joining us today. It's been Jane, Nick, just a phenomenal and insightful and an action-oriented conversation with some next steps that are clear. We will carry on, keep the lines open for a few minutes and take any questions that have come through. But for now, we'll say goodbye. And for those who are dropping off, we look forward to see you next time. Now I'm just going to go into the questions here and see if we've had any come through. And yeah, I see one that is really quite relevant and something that's on my mind as well. How do you show that employees are participating in the Optimity program? And maybe I'll start first with you, Nick, and then have Jane add on.
Yep. I mean, this is probably one of the core metrics. I mean, for us, engagement and adoption is our core metric. It's something our clients always care about. So there's kind of two ways that we can show this, right? The first off is this data is available on the admin dashboard. So in real time, you'll always see how many people are signed up and what the engagement rate is. What's cool is engagement to us means doing something meaningful in the app. So you don't just open it up and like sync your steps automatically. People are actually doing something in the app, and that's how we measure it. Our clients also get access to our CS team. So there's monthly reporting, which includes not only adoption engagement, but other important insights that they're looking to see.
Jane, do you have anything to add to that?
I think it's such a good question. I think overall engagement, it used to be just, like when we talk about health and well-being, it's almost like the physically fit, right? It's the people that are running marathons, that are like really into cycling, or they went through some sort of like family event where they conquered cancer. And so it's always a subgroup of the overall population. So the realistic expectation for that type of program is really about 3 to 5% participation. But I think as the world really is starting to understand, hey, we need to self-care, right? No government is there really to like take us forever into our old age. Like it's really upon us to do that. And then the employer is really thinking about, hey, healthy people, I want to keep my star players on the field longer. So I really want high percentage of my people, like at least half of them, to get onto this program, right? So it's really taken on a really different flavor, and we're designing for average folks like me. I'm healthy, not because I am like abs and I can lift like 200 pounds. Like that's not, I'm healthy because of all these small little habits of what I do when I self-care and all this stuff. So I think in that flavor of a program, that's why it feels super accessible now, I think, because it's really coming down to like daily, like, how are you sleeping? Are you drinking water? Are you moving around, walk? Like if you're human, if you're alive, you can do these little things to make you feel better. And do you want to feel connected to other people that you don't see on a regular basis anymore, especially your colleagues that you're solving very hard problems with? And there's a lot more like difficult that you have to overcome together. So you're really thinking about them as teams, and it's almost like training athletes. So engagement now has taken on that flavor. And I think the daily well-being is such a beautiful conduit, because it's a way to almost right, it's not quite equality, but it's accessibility, right? So like everyone can be part of the team. You can start from wherever you are, you can access it from wherever in the corner in the world you are, and then you're now part of this team. I can engage you, I can be relevant to you, I can reward you for doing daily activities, even around like operations and timesheets and things like that. So now it's like a very different layering of where engagement is and where daily health and well-being is. And I like this new world that we're living in, because I feel like it's more inclusive, and it's also a lot more data driven, because you can get a lot more insights from like 50% plus of the population than you can from 3 to 5%.
What I think is just really fascinating right now, and it's almost like, for me, my personal world colliding with what I do for work, and it's the moment that health hacks is having. We're constantly hearing, okay, what are the health hacks that you're doing to just kind of make it through your days at a time when there's just so many pressures coming at us, right? And the fact that health hacks could also be called micro nudges, and that's what's possible with these engagement platforms is something that I think is really going to help employers and all who partner with employers. So really, really fascinating. Okay, I have another question. This is a good one. Hi, Jane and Nick. Can you explain how integration is achieved between the advisor or the consultant, the client, and the benefits provider? So insurance carrier, the employer, and the advisor, that sort of 3 layers of support. This person is saying, I often share disability and extended health trends with advisors and clients. And I'm curious, is this part of the Optimity model?
It absolutely is. And we could also do better, right? So that's exactly the conversation that we are hopefully igniting here. So I think integration starts in like really kind of a crawl, walk, run type of thought. And right now, really we're in the kind of the walking phase of where we are in the overall journey. I think the integration right now is, hey, we're on the same side of the table, we're working shoulder to shoulder together, we're sharing the information, and we're attacking the same problem, and kind of getting around the same table around that. So the integration right now between what we do in our platform. So for example, in the first client that we had, that's a benefits company, the Ingard example, with them, it's really showing them the reports from what we see and sitting down on a quarterly basis with them to look at all like multiple client reports together and to think about where can we add value together. And they've evolved, they've added more clients to it, they found kind of sales benefit from it. They can take it down many different levels. So, but where we started with them, the crawl phase is exactly what you're talking about, like sharing the disability and the like the trends and the dollars. And you probably have heard this early when we were working with employers, that's where they were coming to us with paying as well. So I'll be curious to see what you're seeing, and then what are the easy actions and cost-effective actions that they can take, because I also find that sometimes the actions are really hard for them to take, and then like you kind of go into the first order problem being like, I don't even have a way to communicate this to my employees, or they go into the first order problem being like, oh my gosh, like as I like, how do we make new people aware of this, or how like I have this other legacy program in the past, like trying to solve the first order problems together is probably the beginning of it. Anyways, a long-winded answer.
Well, I'll jump on that word together, because I think, you know, in my experience hearing from you and Nick and your team as well, it's that Optimity, and, you know, if I can extend more broadly to wellness engagement technology solutions, the core business is the technology solution. It's the agility, the flexibility, the roadmap, to be getting to this place that we're talking about today. So when it comes to giving the insights that come out of the user engagement or the employee engagement in those tools and all of those metrics, including any health metrics, the advisor is hands down the lead in that conversation. So it's the togetherness, it's the partnering, it's the collaboration, where it's important for the advisor to be playing that role as the one who is helping to shape what those conversations look like, and then very much playing that integrated role with the insurance carrier, with the technology partner, so that it's a very seamless set of recommendations based on those insights for the HR client.
Yeah,
So
Jen.
hopefully that helps. The question came from Whitney, so thank you, Whitney, for that question. I see another one coming in that I'd love to squeeze in before the top of the hour, because I think what we haven't talked much about today is just the extensive capabilities around content and actual experiences. And that question is, what type of challenges do you run?
So many. I don't know if Nick, you want to get into it. Do you
I
want to
can
go first? Yeah.
I can start. Yeah. So just because I've working directly with our clients, right? We've got a broad catalog that spans, like, we focus on 5 holistic pillars of health. So things around like mental health, we have physical health, social, which has to do with, like, it could be corporate culture, could be charity work as well, financial wellness, and nutrition. So things that span all of those 5 pillars, we have a catalog. So we work with our clients to basically pick and choose and schedule. They might have specific health months, so we want to match content to those things, or other corporate events that they're running, we can match. So for us, that's kind of our approach. Keep it broad, but focus on the holistic aspect of health.
Yeah. And the other thing that I want to say, challenges are still popular. Right. When you look at the data and you look at overall adoption, you should be running challenges. And people are competitive, and this is how you make a team. They have to have an opponent, even if it's a collaborative challenge. We have a lot of collaborative challenges, so it's not even just like people against people. It's the two of you together on almost like a 3-legged race style thing. So I think that's also really important. But creating those type of gamification is important in building organizational culture.
I think that's so cool. And I want to make sure that point's not missed, is that in 2024, a challenge can be employee driven, or it can be an organized campaign hosted by the employer. So that is really cool. It certainly speaks to that need to modernize wellness by bringing experiences that are very personalized and serving up opportunities for the right people at the right times. And for the advisors out there, the thought here is we can tap into challenges to get folks in the door. And then once they are using the technology and the platform and starting to see the admin portal and some of those capabilities that are more strategic to inform better plan decisions and improve overall utilization, it's a great entry point, let's put it that way, to then build from. Okay, I see another question here. Speaking about gamification, how do we encourage people not to cheat in the games and tournaments that we make?
I can take that. I did work almost 2 decades in gamification and health behaviors. There's a couple things. So one is architecturally, because of certain types of I mean, we are an insurtech, fintech, health tech, right? So we're regulated in a specific way. It's really important that we're almost all carrot, no stick. So we cannot penalize people for doing anything. So that's kind of the first rule of creating this type of program, using only kind of all the things in our toolbox is kind of around positive carrots. But what we can do on the second side is create friction. So that's where data analytics is really important. So when we notice that people are, maybe you can't walk 70,000 steps in a day. Like, are you walking the whole time? Or like maybe you can't do, so certain types of things like that, we can disconnect and make people re-log in. So it's an interesting, it's called adding positive friction. So if they're truly, I mean, maybe they are doing that. So the people that are truly doing it, right, they will reconnect because, right, maybe they went on this really amazing hike and they're running a marathon the same weekend. Like, I don't know, that's fine, right? So, but they would really want that information. So you want to do that. What we do want to discourage, I would say, is the systematic cheating. So when we kind of right, like when the algorithmic says, just like makes people relog in or reconnect their device or reconnect their program and things like that, it really kind of weeds out the systematic cheating, because it's just too hard to cheat if it's not really something that you just want really to have credit for because you're doing the actual activity, and that usually kind of right sizes the leaderboard, so that, because if you have a lot of systematic cheating and the results are not like just in a competition, it also discourages people from participating in future competitions. So those are all the subtle things that technology can also help you solve. So you don't have to be the referee or the bearer of bad news. We can create those positive friction points when we notice, bad behavior.
Thanks for that. It's a great example of how when you're partnering with the right technology solution, they are the ones that can be your expert to solve for some of these problems that at the end of the day, benefits advisors want to focus on your core business and meeting your client needs. So absolutely love how that scenario around the gamification and how it works illustrates that point very, very well. So that is bringing us to time. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.